Welcome, 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 welcome to the Teddy Keaton Show here live on HBCU Game Day. I am Sylvester Williams. They call me Slider Sports Guy, and I'm joined by the one and only Coach Teddy Keaton. How you doing, Coach?
I've been good. I've been better.
You've been better,
but I'm fine. I'm good.
Well, Coach, ain't no need to play with it, Coach. Tough day. Tough day for the home team, Coach. Tough day for the home team. Things did not work out. Things did not work out for the Clark Atlanta Panthers. Went down to Fairfield, Alabama for the SIAC Championship game, and sometimes the ball just don't roll right, Coach.
Well, as I always say, we don't take losses. We learn lessons. I think this was a moment in CAU's short-lived history of the success that we're having, that I wanted every kid to take a moment to reflect on what it felt like to be in a championship game. They hadn't been in a championship game since 46 years ago. So I was really proud of the moment. And I talked about it in my locker room speech to the kids about not allowing one moment to define what you have accomplished as an organization. And those young men fought. They did everything they could. But sometimes when you look across the field and your Jimmys and Joes don't match up with their Jimmys and Joes, and they didn't do it just once, they did it twice. They hung 49 one time and 53 the second time. So it tells you that your Jimmys and Joes have not caught up with their Jimmys and Joes. I tell the kids, you only lost one game, and that one game was against Savannah State. The other two games you lost was back-to-back between the best team in the league. And not only did they beat you, they convincingly beat you. They left no doubt on the field. So I'm going to put it in the urinals, or put it in the locker room, or put it in the shower, put it on the wall that scores of them two games, and remind them that what it takes to be a champion. And Miles, my hat goes off to Sam Shea, that staff, those players. That is a 2024 SIAC Championship caliber team.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hats off to Sam Shade and all those Miles Golden Bears for what they did this season. But we're going to talk a little bit about Clark Atlanta and what Clark Atlanta has done this year. Now, Coach, you came in here during the spring, late winter, and like you said, it's been 46 years since Clark Atlanta has played in any type of championship. In 1991, they shared a championship with 5 other teams. But before that, it was 1977, if I'm not mistaken, the last time Clark Atlanta has outright won a championship. And that's a championship. If we go back winning records, it's probably almost just as long to have a winning record. You came in here, you had a team that went 0-10. 0-10, you took them to 7-3-1. Now, Coach, we want to go back kind of on the process. We want to go back a little bit on the process of you deciding to come to Clark. Why did you decide to come to a team that has had no success whatsoever, Coach?
Well, I like challenges. I like to go into places and flip them. When I was really doing my homework, what place better than anywhere else to live for a black American male or female is Atlanta. They have 2 schools there that I felt that all they were looking for was a winner. I took a shot at both of them, and Clark Atlanta decided they wanted to do business with me. I look at legacy. I think what's going to last longer than winning games. I think what's going to last longer is the impact you're able to make on an institution, the individuals in that institution, and the strides that we got moving forward. I think that there's 3 A's that you have to have in any institution when you consider athletics a part of that. You got to have academics, you got to have athletics, and you got to have activity. I don't care how smart we are, we still got to have activities. We want to have downtime and things. I think athletics boosts the competitive spirit around your campus. When you go to the barbershop, when we own these shows, which has allowed First Take to come to a Division II school. Those type things happen only because we're able to have football, and it's a winning football team. So my goal was to change the culture of somebody saying that it can't be done. And we can rewind the tape all the way back to when I met Simone Stanley. And she was at my interview that day, and she said, Coach, what make you think you can do it? And I told her, and I quote, if I can't do it, then it probably won't be able to be done. I believe in me. I believe in the people that I surround myself with. And I feel like I'm the Quincy Jones of building football teams. I could put the pieces together, and now we can make harmony if we just all work together to do what we need to do. And I feel like the people around me did their part. I feel like the players gave me everything they had. They left it on the field, because I think that, even including myself, you know, how you do something and you in awe sometimes, because I haven't took time to just think about where we were at. I think that sometimes we have to sit back, and now for the last, probably since I finished that game at 3:30 yesterday, when I was almost in tears, I was emotional, and everybody thought I was emotional because I had lost the game. I was more emotional about what these young men had invested in themselves to create that opportunity to be able to play in a conference championship game, even though the results wasn't what it was supposed to be. But they did what they had to do to get to the championship. Now I can consider our team a championship program.
There you go. There you go. Well, let's talk a little bit about your team, Coach. You know, all SIAC selections came out, and Clark was blessed to have a couple of people on the first team and the second team. We'll start off with our offensive lineman, Austin Uhler. Austin Uhler, graduate out of Lithonia, right around the corner. Lithonia, he was a first-team all-SIAC offensive line. Receiver, Armand Harris, the junior out of Tampa, Florida, was the first-team receiver. First-team quarterback was David Wright III. David Wright III, first-team quarterback. Defensive back, Dalil Wilkins, senior out of Bamberg, South Carolina. Those were your first team all SIAC players. Second team, Denzel Moore, junior offensive tackle out of Powder Springs, Georgia, was on the second team. And also Curtis Way, sophomore defensive tackle out of McDonough, Georgia, Curtis Way. And our kicker, Leonardo Cabrera, freshman out of Forest Park, Georgia. They were your all SIAC players. Now, our overall player of the year is yours truly, David Wright III. David Wright III was the SIAC overall player of the year. Young man had a fantastic year. He had 3,271 yards passing, 31 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. He had a quarterback rating of 147.53. David Wright III was your SIAC overall player of the year. Can you tell me a little bit about David, Coach?
Yes, David was a guy that he played behind the Atlanta Falcons backup quarterback down Michael Phoenix, and he was at Tampa Bay Tech out of Tampa, Florida. And David played wide receiver before he ever became a quarterback. When he played his senior year, we were able to watch the film, evaluate him. He hit all the throws that we needed him to hit. And we was proud of him to bring him part to when we was at Allen. David started as a true freshman. And David grew as a quarterback as we went along the game, and he played his second year. And he got hurt his second year. Then his third year he played and did a tremendous job, which took us to 7-3. So he turns around, and then he goes to comes with me to Allen to Clark Atlanta when I switched jobs. And he's did a tremendous job here up until the last two games. He racked up 10 interceptions in the last two games that took his total back up to, it was almost like he was trying to chase his interception number from at Allen. And for a moment there, I thought he was doing really well. And, you know, I don't like to put that much pressure on an 18 to 22-year-old kid. But I asked myself a question last night when I was laying in the bed. Yes, he threw 17 interceptions at Allen. Yes, he threw 16 interceptions here at Clark Atlanta. But both of those teams ended up 7-3. He's actually 14-6 as a starter for two different teams, two different programs, and he also won Player of the Year for two different programs. He's on course. I don't know if he's there yet, but I think he's on course. He might have hit the 10,000-yard mark for his career. Where would I be without David Wright?
Hard question to answer. Where would you be without David Wright? Young man's electric player this year for Clark Atlanta, and even past couple of years for Allen. The future is bright for that young man, David Wright. Now, he won most of your awards. We're going to give out some of the team stats this year. We'll start off. We gave you David Wright's passing stats. We gave him the passing stats. So we'll jump over to the rushing. Your leading rusher was Trayvon Pender. Pender ended the year with 428 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. Allen Riggins was second with 256 with 2 touchdowns, and Elijah Crockett had 144 for the year. Now we'll go over to the other side, the receiving side. Amani Harris was your leading receiver. He had 75 receptions, and he cracked the 1,000-yard mark. He had 1,004 yards for 14 touchdowns for Amon Harris. He ended up averaging 91 yards a game. Virgil Young had 11 catches for 27 yards. Correction. He had 27 catches for 398 yards with 5 touchdowns. Ronnie West had 26 catches for 380 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, one guy I want to speak about a little bit is your other receiver, Jamal Jones. He was second on the team in receiving. He had 74 catches for 987 yards, just missed 1,000 yards. The young man had 6 touchdowns. You go and look at his contribution on special teams. The young man had over 500 yards. He had 587 yards on kickoff returns for a 30-yard return average, 30.9 yards per return. Young man Jamal Jones, when you say electric, one of the most electric players, on the team, definitely in the conference. Some people would even say in the nation, how electric this young man was. Can you speak a little bit about Jamal Jones?
Jamal Jones is like a Swiss Army knife. You could put him anywhere. He was a running back coming out of Armwood, Florida, down in Tampa, Florida, the Bradenton area. And he's been everything for me at Allen, and he was here at Clark Atlanta. There's no other kid that I think that's more deserving of an opportunity to be able to work out for somebody. I mean, some of the scouts he's been comparing to being Percy Harvin. I wish the Legacy Bowl would give me a call and give him an opportunity to go and showcase his talents as a kick returner, punt returner, even as a wide receiver. He can get in the backfield and run the ball. He was our athlete of the team, and we knew that every time he touched the ball, you knew something exciting could happen. No one man was what's really interesting is his yak yards, yards after catch. When somebody touch him, and the first man ain't gonna bring him down. He just got something different about him. What I was disappointed about that is when we got to the superlative awards that were given out for first team All-American, second team All-American. I don't know if you'll find another guy that was more deserving of an award other than, Jamal Jones. He got left out. Jamal came. I didn't even recruit Jamal to come here because the season before he really stayed hurt all the time, and I was really like, I don't know if I really want to deal with you here. I need guys that's going to be healthy. And Jamal came on his own dime and said, Coach, I promise you I'm not going to let you down this year. And the numbers show he's been everything but the workhorse of this team. When they take away receivers, you get Jamal Jones, and whether it be a kickoff, anytime we need electrifying plays. I can name several instances where he was the difference in breaking a game open. So there's his maturity that I've watched him grow from a freshman up until this point now, and his ability to play is just outstanding. I would recommend him he should be number 1 on anybody's list.
Jamal Jones. And I left out the young man. He also had two kickoff returns for a touchdown, and he took a punt back to the house also. He had a punt return for a touchdown. That was Jamal Jones. Now let's go over to the defensive side. Defensive side, you had some good, tough guys out there on defense. We want to start off with your leading tackler on the team, the one and only Mr. James Somerset. James Somerset, he had 65 tackles. He had an interception, a couple of pass breakups, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. Solomon Mosley was next on the team with 51 tackles. And then followed by Eric Searcy. Eric Searcy, a true freshman. He had 39 tackles, and Searcy also had a few injuries too, so he missed a few games and still was one of the top tacklers on the team. Now, we look at your interceptions. Your first team all-conference DB, DeLeo Wilkins. He had 4 interceptions. Young man had 4 interceptions, 5 pass breakups, couple of tackles for a loss. And one thing about DeLeo, what I like about that young man, you see 4 interceptions, you say, well, that's not a lot of interceptions, but not too many people threw at him. After the first couple of games, they said we wasn't going to go on his side of the field.
I would look at this here. First of all, let's talk about James Somerset. He's a guy that was a guy that chose to stay in the program. He's a sophomore that's somewhere here in Georgia. I don't know exactly where he's from in Georgia, but he's a guy that came into the program and bought into what I said, did what I asked him to do. He became a starter instantly. Got tremendous athletic ability, tremendous. But the only thing that's scary about that stat is when your safety is leading your team in tackles. It says a lot about where we were at defensively. And again, the work of L.C. Cole to get us to the championship game with pretty much guys who were trying to find their way, trying to make a way. I mean, we're as good as we were as a team, we still had a lot of things that said that we wasn't a championship program yet. Our linebacker, who was a transfer from Fort Valley, was the second lead tackle, Solomon Mosley, which was a good thing. And Solomon started suffering from ankle injuries. They all took it in. The third best tackle on the team was Eric Searcy, a freshman linebacker who only played in a limited amount of games. So when you start thinking about that, you start thinking about where do I got issues at on my defense? Well, I think in our D-line, we got to get better play up front. It will help the linebackers. And if your third level player is the leading tackle on your team, that means you got, possibilities of some real problems that you need to solve. And I'm proud of those young men, not to diminish what they've done and their ability to be able to help us as individuals. I'm not going to take that away from them, but we also know that we had things that we need to do in the whole season. We spent a lot of time trying to cover that up, and I think Coach Cole did a tremendous job of trying to cover that up and making sure that he made the proper adjustments to make sure that they could do what they needed to do.
All right, now we'll talk about special teams. We'll talk about my guy, the Latin leg, Leonardo Cabrera, young man, freshman walking onto the scene. And you talk about when someone makes their way onto the national scene and make their way onto the national scene strong is when he knocked down a 56-yard field goal to defeat Bethune-Cookman as time ran out. Well, let's look at some final stats for Leonardo. He was 9 from 11 in field goal for kicking field goals. That's an 81% field goal kicking. Young man did a lot from Forest Park. Forest Park's not known as a football factory down there. Now, girls basketball, whole different story at Forest Park. They're really good at girls basketball. But what can you say about Leonardo and his journey?
I'm just hoping the Falcons don't call him and steal him away from me, because I was impressed with him from day one. And as you alluded to, he didn't come from a program that was a football factory. But they do have a trio of kickers that came from that program over the years. So I saw an opportunity when we hired Steve Cole, who is L.C. Cole's brother, who is the legendary Steve Cole, who coached women's basketball at Forest Park High School, now over at Banneker High School. He gets very few recognitions from the football field, but all his accolades have been on the basketball coach. But a fun fact is he played football at Eastern Washington, and nobody really knew that because he probably don't like to coach football. He coached football just like he coached basketball, and he kind of keep an even keel. You can learn a lot from Steve Cole, a guy who is championship mindset. He don't tolerate a lot of nonsense, and I think when we started looking at him, he said he knew who he was. And because he had spent so much time at Forest Park, he said, we got a kicker right over there right now that we can get that could help us. So shout out to Steve Cole, who helped put that in line and line that up for us to get an opportunity to be able to, maybe snag somebody like Leo. Leo is a good kid, works hard. I don't think he's ever been in the weight room, and that's why he suffered some injuries that he had to be a part of. But I think a good offseason and getting his legs stronger and he working hard to be who he got to be, I think we'll have a great time developing him into this process of being a great kid.
All right, shout out to Leo and shout out to the Cole brothers. Coach Cole, they don't play no game. They serious.
Cold-blooded.
They serious. I heard they dropped out of kindergarten because they ain't play recess. That's how serious they are over there, that Cole family. But it was a great and a record-breaking year for Clark Atlanta this year. Did not finish the way they wanted, but still 7-3-1. Coming off a 0-10 season, the future is bright for the Clark Atlanta Panthers. Now, Coach, we got to ask you, you 7-3, great year, you did that, but the fans only care, what have you done for me lately? What are you going to do for me next, Coach?
Well, I'm that kind of guy, too. 24 hours later, I'm on my next plan. I woke up this morning and I was working on recruiting, where I got holes to fix. I got exit interviews coming up next week or the next week after that to be able to, sit and talk to each individual about their goals and what they want to do with their lives, and how we're going to move forward with changing the team. I think that you can't base – I don't like to take whatever happened last season or whatever happened and try to predetermine what it's going to do next season. I live every day like it have a life and history of its own. And knowing that every day is not promised to you, and you may depend on a guy, or you may sign a guy that think that's going to add value to your team, and then after you get him, he doesn't add value, he don't fit that culture. I think that we got to do a real good job as coaches to make sure that we identify the right pieces and the right personnel that fits the culture of CAU, that also going to be able to do well academically and also be able to do well as an athlete too. So I think that we're going to do a good job of that, and we're going to assess the kids that want to be in the program, who want to continue the journey with us, and we're also going to evaluate the places where we're going to be losing kids at. So this whole month, all the way leading up to signing day, we have an early signing period in December the 6th, and then we got another one February sometime. So we're going to try to get some of these, our what I call free agency picks between now and there. That's going to be an immediate influx help to this institution or our team, and we'll do that before December the 6th, which we've been working on that all year long, which is why it's imperative that football has become a year-round sport for us now. So we have to be on top of our P's and Q's all the time. And then now we'll start looking at our draft picks, which we've already had a lot of those guys on our campus during the games, during their home season. So we'll figure out what we're going to do to make it fit and where we need help instantly and where we need help, maybe online later on down the road.
Well, you hear that, Clark Atlanta fans out there? If you happen to know any 6'5", 300-pound kids running around, send them on over this way. Send them on over to Clark. Send them to Clark.
And definitely want to get them, because my ultimate goal this offseason, and we're going to concentrate heavily on it, is to improve the O-line and be able to run the ball better in situations, because I think it would help us a lot if we are able to sometime be able to run the ball and do it effectively to take some pressure off our quarterback so that he won't feel like he has to do it all by himself.
Well, there you go. There you go. Well, it has been a great season, a record-breaking season for Clark Atlanta football. I have thoroughly enjoyed watching the Panthers go out there and play and do amazing things on the field. I've enjoyed my time with you, Coach Keaton, learning a little bit about yourself and learning a little bit about this Clark football team. And I think all your fans, I think all the Panther supporters out there are proud of the fellas. They are proud of the fellas for what they have accomplished this year. So for the final time, this is the coach, for the final time this year. This is the coach.
Wait. We can't just sign off like that.
Okay,
man.
my bad.
We can't sign off on it. You know, all year you beat me up.
I did.
You talked about how bad we were without not giving you any gear.
Oh, that.
So on Thursday of last week, the Teddy Keaton collection of Be the Reason and Clark Atlanta edition has dropped.
Ooh.
So the Anthony Lawrence collection. So I bought him a little gift. And wanted to thank you for what you do for us.
Look at that fancy bag right there, too. What was that? Was it the Anthony Lewis collection?
Anthony Lawrence. Anthony don't get it wrong. It's at AnthonyLawrenceCollection.com. You can find it online. You can find it on Twitter. You can find it anywhere. This is exclusive Coach Keaton gear. As you can see, the Panther looks really good in there. And if you look down the side, we all been trying to figure out whether Slider Sports Guy was the reason.
I was the reason.
But let's say this. We're going to rewind the tape back to when we first made the predictions about where Clark Atlanta was going to be.
Who called it? Who called it?
Slider Sports Guy said that Coach Keaton and the Clark Atlanta Panthers will either be in the SIAC Championship game or no less they will be going to the Miami Bowl that's no longer existing, and the Florida Bowl that's no longer in existence. So, Slider Sports Guy, you might have lost the bet with my man at the Sports and Joe, but you wasn't too far off about where we were going to go. I love the cup where we had the rat poison.
Oh, the rat poison.
And there was a lot of rat poison in this whole season because, you know, I wasn't ready to drink the Kool-Aid to say that I knew what was happening internally, but there's truthfulness to say that some guys do their homework and understand what HBCU sports about. And you have been one of those guys that done that, and I appreciate you for your honesty, your candor, the different things that you bring to the community of our team, just spending this time with us to have our TV show, to be the host of our TV show. So that was my token of appreciation to say thank you for what you contribute to HBCU sports. All the guys at HBCUGameday, the producers that took time to make our show what it is today. I appreciate you guys, and we're looking forward to another season at CAU to bring this thing to a whole nother level.
I like it, Coach. I'm gonna have to hide this from my son, man. My son might try to take this one from me, Coach. He can't have this one right here, Coach. Well, here it is. Here it is for the final time this season. This is the Coach Teddy Keaton Show. He's Coach Teddy Keaton. We'd like to thank our super producer, Mr. Miles Jenkins. We'd like to thank D. Clark and everything over at Hood Genius Entertainment for providing us photos and videos. I am Sylvester Williams. They call me Slider Sports Guy. We'll see you next year on the Coach Teddy Keaton Show here on HBCU Game Day.